It all started at university. The theme for our next project, multiplayer, was announced, and about a week later we were asked to present our ideas. Before we started presenting, our professor wanted to give us a little pep talk. He told us not to stress too much about it, as long as no one decided to make a racing game or a soccer game, since those would be the hardest multiplayer projects to pull off. Right. A week before the pep talk and presenting our ideas, I was brainstorming what I could do. Of course, my main idea was a racing game. At the time, I have been thinking a lot about making one, and turning it into a multiplayer game sounds insane in the best way, but maybe it would be too hard for the very first idea. I decided to set that idea aside, at least for now. Then I thought, okay, maybe something simpler like a soccer game, but it might be too difficult in a short time we had, so I told myself to just focus on the core of the idea. Well, actually, my project idea started as a racing game and ended up as a soccer game. After a bit of brainstorming, I came up with something simpler but fun. Soccer playing ghosts. I knew I had to keep it simple. It was my very first multiplayer project after all, and we didn't have much time. I used Unity to develop the game and Sprite to create the sprites. I was still very new to creating 2D billboarding effects in Unity, and it took me a while to get a decent 2D 3D looking goal setup. For anyone wondering how a billboard effect works, it's actually quite simple. You start with a 3D project in Unity, and then you just have to add the 2D package. But make sure to check for your Unity packages, not your project packages. Then I had to install some extra packages, including netcode for game objects. What's that, you ask? It's Unity's official networking system for multiplayer games. It lets objects like players, enemies, or other items exist across multiple players' computers. So if you have a player on your screen, your friend will have the same player on their screen too. How does it work? There's a host, the computer controlling the game, and some clients, players joining the game. If the host moves, creates, or destroys an object, that action gets sent to all the clients, so they can do the same on their computers. It also keeps track on which player or object belongs to whom. The system is mostly designed for small to mid-sized multiplayer games, like co-op, party games, or LAN setups, with about 2 to 200 players. I chose it because it's built into Unity, it's reliable for syncing objects and variables, and honestly, I'd never made a multiplayer game before, so I wouldn't have even known where to start writing a networking system from scratch. At first, I just focused on syncing the characters. After a few attempts and lots of issues, I finally got it working. I even added a bunch of characters because I kept forgetting which one I was moving. But since I made almost everything directly in Unity and Sprite without tools like Blender, it ended up being really heavy on performance. Unity kept crashing, so I decided to clear the map and keep testing on an empty scene before adding assets back in later. At one point I thought maybe I should just simplify the whole thing by adding an NPC that no one controls. Then I had a weird idea. What if I turn this into a horror game? Ghosts being haunted by something else? Well, let's just say that worked even less than the other plan. I was back to square one, with only a few days left. Everything broke, the multiplayer connection stopped working, and I was left with a lonely little single-player prototype that was meant to be something bigger. With 2 days left, I was frustrated. I thought, that's it, I'm done. But somehow, I pulled myself back up, turned on my PC again, and stayed up all night. I deleted everything and rebuilt it from scratch. And honestly, every time I had to fix something, or erase and redo a part, something clicked. It wasn't just going in one ear and out the other anymore. Even though I only had 48 hours left, it all felt more natural. Maybe because I have done it so many times already. I'm not even sure how I pulled it off. But the game was actually playable in the end. I had ideas for extra features, like power-ups, but by then I had no time or energy left, so I let them go. I recorded a video just in case it stopped working again, and submitted everything to my professor. After this whole experience, I can honestly say it was exciting once it actually worked, but it was also incredibly frustrating. That said, from a gamer's point of view, I still believe it's important to have access to a local server option. I probably won't make a multiplayer game again anytime soon, But maybe one day I'll add it as a feature to one of my games. Hopefully though, it won't be me doing the networking part.